Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are kicking off the Illustrator Freestyle Challenge. Let's see what that entails. So, during the spiel, if you see any red text, it means you need to stop, write it down on your notes, and if you see green, you need to do what it says. Those are instructions. So, by the way, get out your paper, and at the top put Illustrator Freestyle Challenge Notes. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. Day one, we are going to learn these things. You can read through it, but you're going to learn what this means, and you're going to do these things. So you can read through those as well as I can. Alright, so look at the assignment instructions. Go to my website, and inside there you're going to see a grade scale for this thing. Open that thing up and see what it says, and then write down an intelligent question about the assignment. If you can't find it, this would be a great time to ask Mr. Miller. He will show you. That would be me. He'll show you where it's at. Okay, so look at the grade scale for this. Alright, write this down. This is a note. What is Illustrator? It's a professional grade vector-based illustration application that does not use pixels but instead uses math formulas. It does not lose quality. You can draw a picture in Illustrator and make it the size of a billboard and it will never lose quality. The other cool thing, there are some free ones that you can play with too, Inkscape, so they're in the classroom and you can go home and try it, so that would be a good thing for you to do. Now let me illustrate for you what vector-based program is. This is Photoshop, which is not a vector-based program. It is a raster-based program. So let's take a look what that means. So this picture looks great, but if I blow this thing up, let's see what happens. If I make it really big, look what happens. My picture starts to fall apart. It's made up a bunch of little squares, and it looks ugly, right? Well, on the other hand, let's minimize this. So Photoshop is a raster-based program made up of pixels, whereas Illustrator is a vector-based program that is made up of mathematical formulas. So with this is a picture a student drew, and if you blow it up, you can see it doesn't pixelate at all. It keeps its quality. So if we were to put this up on a billboard and make it huge, it would keep the same quality. It also is good for using to cut things out on the laser cutter, which is one of the things that we're going to do with it as well. Okay. Okay, so write this down if you haven't done so already. Okay, so open Illustrator and create and save a document. You're going to make a new folder in your folder with your name on it. You're going to call it Creative Computers. You're going to make a folder called Illustrator, and then you're going to save this document as the Freestyle Challenge. So let me tell you what that means. So we're going to go to Illustrator. We're going to go to File, New, and you're going to get a document that looks like this, and you're going to hit OK. And it's going to make a new document. Okay, so you have a new document, but it's not saved at all yet. So now you have to save it. So you got to go File, Save As, and so you're going to save it into your folder with your name on it. So you have to go to Computer. Okay, and inside Computer, you're going to find one with your name on it. Okay, so there's mine with my name on it. I'm going to go into there, and yours is going to look a little different. But I click on this to create a new folder. Okay, and I'm going to make a folder called Creative Computer. And inside there, I'm going to make a folder called Illustrator, and then that's where I'm going to save it as Freestyle. I'm not going to call it Untitled. I'm going to change that to call it Freestyle Challenge, but I've already done it. But you need to do it. Okay. All right. So here's this thing called the Freestyle Challenge, and so let's see what's next on the list. Well, I'll just tell you what's next on the list. Look, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the pencil tool, and you're going to make some drawings. So you're going to use this tool to draw something that exists in the real world. Okay. So I'll teach you a couple things. Now, look, this right here, this is what's called an open path. Okay. It's open. Now, if I go like this and go all the way to the end, that's called a closed path because I filled it in, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So I got ahead of myself. So we'll see what's next on the spiel. The pencil tool, write this down, is easier for drawing and editing freeform lines. If you want to do scribbles and freeform lines, the pencil is great for it. Okay. By the way, it might help if you change the workspace to painting. It might make it look more like mine. All right. So here's what you need to know. The stroke is a line color, the stroke weight is a line thickness, and an open path begins and ends at different spots, and a closed path is a shape that begins and ends at the same spot. Write this down. Hit pause if you need to, and I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Okay, so if I go to the pen tool, let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see something. Okay, if I go to the pencil tool and I draw something, number one, let's say I want to change the stroke color, so I'll change it to yellow. So then I go to my pencil tool and I draw, and you can see now that the stroke color, oh, that's ugly green. Let's change that to yellow. The stroke is yellow. Now if I want to change the stroke weight, I can click right here and I can increase the weight. Okay, so that's the stroke weight. Now I'm going to play with the fill. So if I click on this, I'm changing the fill color. Now you can see, because it's an open path, it starts and ends at a different place. It looks a little goofy. So what I can do is I can make this a closed path, and it will look nicer. Okay, so we've got the stroke color and stroke weight, and we've got the fill color. Okay, draw something with the pencil tool that exists in the real world that looks nice. Create simple curves using the pencil tool. Stroke with color. Change the stroke and weight. So do all this. You don't have to do it right now, or you can do it now. But on your drawing, you need to do all these things. Okay, so now we're going to use the pen tool. It's for drawing more precisely. It's more difficult, but it's more precise. Okay, so let's make a new layer. So I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to turn off this layer. So the artwork's still there. I can turn it off and on, but I'm just making it invisible for now. So right here's the pen tool, and the pen tool, you can do precise things. So let's say I want to do straight lines. Click, I click, I click, I click, and I click, and I can draw precise things. Okay, straight lines. But it's also good at doing curves. So I'm going to delete this. So you can also do what's called a Bezier curve, or a vector curve. So well, that's not it. Let me delete that. So what you do is you click and hold the mouse button and drag. And so I have my anchor point here, my anchor, and then I'm dragging the handle. Okay? And so then I find my next point and I click and I drag, and I have my anchor point and handle. Okay? And then I come up here and I have my anchor point and handle, and I'm going to make a really ugly heart. Okay? And I'm going to click here, anchor point and handle, and then I'm going to click here and finish my really ugly heart. Now, I could do a better job if I wanted to. The other thing you can do is that you can change. So that's the handle, or no, pardon me, that's the anchor and that's the handle. So you could go to the direct selection tool, and I can adjust this. I can say, oh look, I want this to be a little, I want to move the anchor point, or I want to adjust the handle, or I want to adjust this a little bit and change this. So with a vector curve or a Bezier curve like we have, you can do a lot of tune-up with it as well. So you can be very precise and very accurate. So you're going to also use the pen tool to make straight lines and curves for this challenge. Okay? So as we saw, the pen tool, you can draw more precisely. Okay, write this down. A Bezier curve is a curve in a vector base. You can read it, but you can see that it has anchor points and it has handles. Okay, so write all this down. Hit pause and write this down. Okay, so in your drawing, you're going to need to do straight lines and accurate curves with the pen tool. Okay, what can you do with the direct selection tool? You can select and edit individual points and handles of an object. I should say that. You should say points and handles. Okay, so another thing that we can do is we can use a paintbrush. Okay, so if you take a look at this thing, we can go to the paintbrush, and you can choose a brush. If you go Window and turn on brushes, it'll pop up right here, and you can choose a brush, and you can brush to your heart's content. If you click here, you can choose all sorts of different brushes. So that's another fun thing to do as well. Okay, here's the quiz, and so what you're going to do is you're going to finish this quiz. You're going to make sure the top of your page, it has freestyle challenge notes, it has your name. You're going to turn these into the correct basket, and then you're going to do everything that Spiel said, and you're going to create a nice drawing.